Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today's video, our vest pocket video, is a little different. It starts off with an airplane I used to fly. There's a picture of my airplane, November 177 Bravo Juliet. And that picture was taken on a flight I was flying down to Mexico, uh, where I belonged to a couple different groups, Flying Samaritans and another one called Liga, and we'd fly medical supplies and doctors and nurses and dentists and interpreters down to these different places in Mexico. A lot of them were fairly remote. This one is one of the air quote airports landing strips. This is in the state of Sinaloa, which was at the time, this is the early 90s, where the drug lords ran the place, and they left us alone because we were bringing in all this medical stuff, and we had clinics and so forth. But anyway, I used to love flying. Going into places like this was always interesting. Now, the going back to what I wanted to use this for is introduce why I was always attracted to Bell and Ross watches, because they're watches, or at least one series of watches based on the modeled after aircraft instrument panels. There on the lower right, you can see an aircraft. This is actually one that took out of an instrument panel, and it's a Jaja-LeCoultre. The Jaja-LeCoultre used to make a lot of the clocks for airplanes. The funny thing was that they were wind up. This one is an 8-day, and so you'd go, and before you take off, you'd wind up the watch, and then off you went. Clocks and watches are very important airplanes because you time the amount of fuel you fly. You fly by the number of hours of fuel, not necessarily the gallons. Of course, they're related. Anyway, this is a Bell & Ross BR03 black matte, a ceramic case to it. The caliber is called the BR caliber 302-1. The base is the Sellita SW 300-1. 28,000 semi-oscillations per hour, 56 hours. A very typical standard 4 hertz. The base price on this, or the MSRP, is $4,100. You can find them pre-owned for, I found one on Chrono 24 for $14.82, if you like this kind of thing. Anyway, to me it was a little pricey for a Sellita movement, but that's okay. It seemed to be a very well-made watch, and that particular Sellita is not a bad one. Now, some other models they have a diver model, a GMT model, and a chronograph model. The BR03 diver and BR03 GMT both have the Sellita 300-1 base, 4400 and 4200, at least of these two models. Now, the chronograph has an ETA 2894-2 base, which is, and then that one is 5400, whatever the chronograph module they put in there with it. So anyway, they all have somewhat of that instrument panel-ish kind of style to them. Now, going through, all of a sudden, you're out $4,000, and suddenly there's this one, 22,000. It's called the BRX1 wood. I don't know where they're getting the wood from. It's not a wooden case as far as I could see. It's a limited edition to 50 pieces. Now, these were not from Sellita or ETA or anything like that. There was this company called MHC, manufacturer Haute complication. And I went looking for that, and it was in liquidation, which means it doesn't exist anymore. I don't know how they got this stuff out of there. It's hypersonic chronograph. I mean, this is a fairly serious looking chronograph. That's not one of your standard ones, and 22,900 is it's quite a bit for a Bell and Ross. So I kept on looking, and suddenly there's this one, $169,000 for a BRX1 Tourbillon White Hawk. This, I'm pretty sure, now I could be wrong about this. The watch itself, it's hand wound, flying tourbillon, mono pusher, column wheel, chronograph, 3 hertz, 21,600 semi-oscillations per hour. You start getting in these lower semi-oscillations, or lower frequencies, and you're starting something was up, namely your higher price and higher horology. Now in 2011, Bell and Ross was bought by Chanel, and Chanel has been buying up a lot of top watchmakers. They got a piece of F.P. Journe, MB&F, Romain Gauthier, and Kinesi with Tudor that they own that together. I'm pretty sure this one was coming out of that. Now I don't I don't know how many they're going to sell for. I mean, who's going to shell out $169,000 for a Bell and Ross? But it's just sort of an interesting direction from these, sort of starting off with a plain vanilla Solita. Bell and Ross, I think, is a company to keep an eye on, to see where they're going, to see what Chanel watch manufacturer does. This is not the Kinesi one in Le Loc. This is another one in La Chaux de France. More to come later. Anyway, let me know what you think. I'd be very interested in hearing from you. And this is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. Until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection.